the nation's capital, Smithsonian museums, and the land of politics. But there's so much more to this vibrant city than what meets the eye. So if you're considering a move to Washington, D.C. area for work, school, or just a change of scenery, stick around as we explore 5 things you need to know before packing your bags. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Patina Thomas, your realtor serving the Washington, D.C. metro area. And in this video, we're gonna talk about 5 things you need to know before moving to the Washington, D.C. area. All right, let's kick things off with something we all love to talk about, the weather. Now, I'll be honest with you, D.C.'s weather, it can be a bit dramatic. We're talking about 4 distinct seasons, each with its own personality. Our summers, it's like a warm hug that doesn't know when to let go. It gets hot and humid, folks. And I'm talking temperatures in the 90s with humidity that will have you feeling like you're just walking through soup. But here's a pro tip. Invest in some really good antiperspirant and lightweight, breathable clothing. But don't let that scare you off because fall here in DC is absolutely gorgeous. The city turns into a kaleidoscope of reds, oranges, and yellows. It's the perfect time to explore our many parks and just go for a walk along our many trails. Our winters here, it's relatively mild compared to our northern neighbors, but we do get snow. But it's usually not enough to shut down the city, but just enough to make everything look pretty for a day or two. That said, always be prepared for the occasional big storm. We've had some doozies in the past. And then there's spring. Oh, spring in DC is something special. Why? Well, 2 words, cherry blossoms. Every year, usually in late March or early April, the city explodes in pink as our famous cherry blossom cheese starts to bloom. It is a sight that will take your breath away. The National Cherry Blossom Festival draws over 1.5 million visitors each year. And trust me, it's worth braving the crowds for. So what's the takeaway here? Well, be prepared for anything. In your closet, you'll need everything from shorts and sandals to a warm winter coat. And don't forget that umbrella because we get our fair share of rain too. Next up, let's talk about getting around this wonderful city. Now, I'll let you in on a little secret. One of the best things about living in DC is that you don't need a car. That's right, you can ditch the traffic and parking headaches because DC public transportation game, it's strong. The heart of our transit system is the metro. It's a network of subways and bus lines that get you pretty much anywhere you need to go in the city, and even into the suburbs of Maryland and Virginia. The trains, they are clean, efficient, and best of all, air-conditioned. Trust me, you'll appreciate that in the summer. A lot of first-timers who normally move here, they get a bit intimidated by the metro map, but you'll quickly get the hang of it. Each line is color-coded and the stations are well-marked. And fares start roughly around $2, but they can go up during rush hour. So if you're gonna be here long term, I'll recommend getting a Smart Trip card and loading it with a monthly pass. That'll save you money in the long run. But the metro isn't the only option. We've got a great bus system too. And it can be a lifesaver when you need to get somewhere that the metro doesn't reach. And for those times when you need a bit more flexibility, we've got Capital bike share stations all over the city, plus plenty of scooters that you can rent through various apps. And of course, if all else fails, there's always Uber and Lyft. They're widely available and can be a good option for those late night outings or when you're carrying around a lot of groceries. So the bottom line is, getting around DC, it's a breeze without a car. In fact, many locals I know, they've gotten rid of their cars altogether since moving here. It's not just convenience, it's also a great way to reduce your carbon footprint. Now, I know I just sang some praises of our public transportation, but let's address the elephant in the room, DC traffic. I mean, if you do decide to bring a car or you need to drive for work, you should know that our traffic situation is, well, let's just say it's not great. DC consistently ranks as one of the worst cities in the nation for traffic congestion. It's not uncommon for a 20-minute drive to turn into an hour long. And don't even get me started on the Beltway. That's I-495, the interstate that circles the city. Locals often joke that the Beltway is just a big parking lot with occasional movements. But here's the thing. It's not just about the time you spend sitting in traffic. It's also about the stress. So I've heard many stories of road rage on the streets and it is real. So be very careful on the roads during rush hour. It can be quite stressful. Now, if you do need to drive, there are ways to make it more bearable. Try to avoid peak hours if you can, and if your job allows for flexible hours, just consider going in earlier or later to miss the worst of the traffic. And always Always, always, always check the traffic reports, download Waze. It's going to save you a lot of headaches. Keeping the traffic in mind when you're choosing where to live. A place might seem perfect, but it means a nightmare commute. It might not be worth it. When apartment or house hunting, always do a test run of your potential commute during rush hours. Trust me, your future self will thank you for that. All right, now let's talk about one of my favorite things about DC. It's incredible diversity. This city is like a mini United Nations, and I mean that quite literally. We've got 175 embassies here, which means diplomats and their families from all over the world call DC home. But it's not just about the diplomatic corps. DC attracts people from every corner of the globe. We've got international organizations, multinational corporations, and world-class universities, all bringing in a diverse mix of people from different backgrounds, cultures, and experiences. And let me tell you, this diversity is not just a statistic. You can see it, you can hear it, and most deliciously taste it. It's on every street corner. One day you can be enjoying authentic Ethiopian in Adams Morgan. The next day you're savoring French pastries in Georgetown. And the day after that, you can be slurping up some of the best ramen you've ever had in Chinatown. Oh, and I can't mention DC's food without talking about Half Smoke. You gotta try the Ben's Chili Bowl. It's a DC institution. DC also have a plethora of Michelin star restaurants. But the diversity here, it goes beyond just food. It infuses every aspect of life in the city. You'll find cultural festivals throughout the year celebrating everything from Chinese New Year's to Oktoberfest. The art scene is incredibly vibrant with influences from all around the world. And the conversations you'll have with people here, mind expanded. So living in DC, it really opens up your eyes to different perspectives and ways of life. It's like traveling the world, but without ever having to leave the city. So if you're someone who loves learning about other cultures or just enjoy being in a dynamic international environment, you're gonna love it here. So last but not least, let's talk about two very important and closely related topics: jobs and money. The good news, DC has a robust and diverse job market. The not so good news, it is an expensive city to live in. But don't worry, we'll break it all down. First, the job market. Yes, the federal government is a major employer here, but it's far from the only game in town. We've got a booming tech sector, more and more startups and established tech companies setting up shop right here every year. There's also plenty of opportunities in healthcare, education, and the nonprofit sector. And let's not forget all about the law firms, lobbying groups, and international organizations. One thing to keep in mind though, the job market here can be competitive. DC attracts a lot of highly educated, ambitious people. So bring your A game when job hunting. Network, network, network. It's not just a cliche, it's really how many people find opportunities here. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the cost of living. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, DC is expensive. We're talking about 37% more expensive than the average US city. Housing, that takes the biggest bite out of your budget. The median rent for a one-bedroom apartment is around $2,100. And if you're looking to buy, well, the median price point in DC just skyrocketed to $600,000. But before you close this video and cross DC off your list, hear me out. Yes, it's pricey, but salaries here, it tends to be higher to compensate for that. And there are ways to make it work. Consider looking at up-and-coming neighborhoods or even just across the border in Maryland and Virginia. Many people, they live in the suburbs and they just commute into work. Also remember all the great public transportations we talked about earlier. That can help you save a ton on transportation costs. And many of the best things to do in DC, like visiting our world-class museums or just enjoying the beautiful parks, they are completely free. So living in DC requires some financial savvy and probably a bit of budgeting, but for many people, the opportunities and experiences the city offers make it worth every penny. And there you have it, folks, the top 5 things you need to know before moving to Washington, DC. 1, 4-season weather with most beautiful cherry blossoms, our top-notch public transportation systems, the challenging but manageable traffic, our incredible diversity that makes every day an international adventure, and our strong job market coupled with a high but conquerable cost of living. Where else can you jog past the White House in the morning, have lunch at Michelin star restaurants, Spend the afternoon at a free world-class museum and end the day watching the sunsets from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Where else can you do that? Yes, it has its challenges, but the opportunities, the history, the culture, and just the sheer energy of the city makes it all worthwhile. So whether you're a fresh graduate starting your career, a seasoned professional looking for a change, or just someone that loves being at the heart of where things happen, DC has something for you. So what do you think? Are you ready to become a Washingtonian? If you are planning to move here, comment below guide and I'll send you my relocation guide for Washington, DC. And if you do live here in the city, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really would love to know if I'm spot on or if I'm missing anything. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights on city living and relocation tips. Thanks for watching, and who knows, maybe I'll see you around DC soon. Bye!